Okay, we got Bill Carrico up here, and he's going to do the introductions and get things rolling. Thanks a lot.
Well, it's good to be back home on a rainy Thursday night. I haven't seen rain in Grayson County for a while, so it's nice to come across the mountain and see you guys getting blessed at least. So you must be paying the preacher well. I'm here tonight for one sole purpose, is to introduce a friend of mine who I've served with for the past 9 years in the General Assembly. And he's Morgan Griffith. He's taken on the congressional race, and he's taken it on by storm. He's really come out and he's really began his aggressive fundraising efforts. So any of you here tonight that want to contribute to the Morgan Griffith campaign, feel free to do so. And I wanted to be here to introduce him because I was probably one of the first legislators to sign on for Morgan to support him in this race that he's taking on at this current time. And one of the main reasons, before I get into telling you some particulars about Morgan, that I felt really compelled to support him was that, I think that Southwest Virginia is ready for new leadership. I think that it's time in Southwest Virginia that we stand together and have some fresh new views as far as what's going on in Washington, D.C. today. We need new leadership. We need leadership that is proven, and I think that you'll find no better person than Morgan Griffith to be a proven leader. Morgan has served in the General Assembly for 18 years, 18 sessions. And of those 18 sessions, I've served all of them with him in my 9 years. And, one of the things that Morgan struck me as the majority leader, and Morgan, as the Republican Party took power, Morgan is the only majority leader ever to lead the Republican Party. And when I was elected, they told me to go to the GAB, and I had no idea what that was. They didn't tell me GAB stood for General Assembly Building. But I'd gotten there, and I was new to politics. I didn't know a whole lot about what was going on, but Morgan took me under his wing and taught me a lot. And after I'd started feeling a little more comfortable, I can remember going to Morgan and saying, "Look, I got this great piece of legislation, Morgan, and I need someone to sign on to and support it." And he'd look at it and say, "That is a great piece of legislation." I said, "Well, you going to sign on?" He'd say, "No." And it just aggravated me. I just couldn't understand why Morgan Griffith, my majority leader, wouldn't sign on to my legislation. And I didn't say a whole lot. And he and I served on police and militia together. And I'd ask him all the time, "Well, yeah, it's looking good. You ready to sign up?" "No." And he taught me a lot because I was signing about everything that came across my desk that I thought looked good. And then once it got to the House floor, it didn't look so good at all. And that's what he was trying to teach me, is that, what looks good when it starts don't look too good when it gets to the floor. And I think that learning that lesson taught me a lot about Morgan and what kind of leader he'll be in Washington. For the American people, this health care bill looked pretty good. And let me just finish. I'm not going to debate the health care bill. For the American people, they thought if they got free health care, that would look pretty good. But all of a sudden, all the changes that started taking place, and all the things that came in when the government started sticking their hands in the personal lives of people started realizing finally that we have got to stand up, and we have got to tell our elected leaders that this is something that we don't want. Well, that's the difference between Morgan Griffith and what you have today. When he stands up, and he stands up for the people who have elected him, he's going to listen to you. He's not going to listen to the high-paid lobbyists in Washington. He's not going to listen to all the rhetoric going on around him. He's going to listen to the people that he represents, and that's what I like the most about him. Morgan has served on the courts committee. He serves now on the courts, police, militia, rules, joint rules. And as a majority leader, he's done that. And like I said, been the first one to serve on that. One of the things that, when debating whether Morgan Griffith ought to be elected to the General Assembly because of the giving up seniority of his opponent, I always bring to light the fact that his opponent supported a cap-and-trade bill that's going to cripple Southwest Virginia. His opponent didn't listen to the people whenever they were telling him that this cap-and-trade bill was bad for their area. His opponent was the first one to support Obama, who's been one of the biggest socialists, in my opinion, in our nation's history. His opponent says he voted against the health care bill, and that's easy to do, to vote against something when somebody's letting you out of the vote. But his opponent has had, and we'll talk about his 28 years of service and his seniority. He has 28 years, and all he is a subcommittee chairman, and his opponent couldn't use his 28 years of service and seniority to convince a freshman delegate in the district in Charlottesville to vote against the health care bill. His opponent didn't have enough seniority to convince at least 13 others to switch their vote. And I ask you tonight, is that the kind of seniority that you want? At least we have a man who is running, who has the seniority in the House in which he serves now, and he served for 9 years, that arose to the power of a majority leader and has led that majority to maintain the majority in the House for the past 19 years. Let's go to the polls this November and let's elect. Let's let the people's voice be heard. And let's elect a fresh new leader for Southwest Virginia that can use his authority and his knowledge of our Constitution, who I know this man for a fact, who has stood by my side when I have argued cases for the people, and none more prevalent than the chaplain's bill, when the state of Virginia stepped on every right of every one of those chaplains in the state police by telling them or dictating to them how they can pray, and stood on the House floor and stood by me. And we won that battle in the House. Yes, we lost it in the courts committee of a liberal Senate, but we won it in the House. Let's send a leader that stands up for your constitutional rights and the rights of the people of Washington. And I give you Morgan Griffith.
Yeah.